Now, those two sustainability grants this year are funded by a person who we have come to have the highest possible regard for in the foundation, and we decided that tonight we would ask him to talk to us. Neil and Norma Hill are a wonderful group of people. If you haven't had a chance, a group of two of them, they don't make up the group, wonderful two people. And if you haven't had a chance to talk to them, I strongly suggest you do so. They're just two of life's really wonderful human beings. With their generosity, they have now provided over a number of years to the Asthma Foundation $250,000 to support us. We've started to use them in a slightly different way lately. We asked Neil to speak to 100 Rotarians at a gathering in Hunters Hill recently, and he had them beating out of his hand as he told them the story of his story and involvement. And so we thought tonight it would be good just to hear from him to understand what it is that he and Norma are seeking and have achieved through their involvement with the Asthma Foundation. Neil Hill.
Believe in these things, they're crutches. Stand out here and you expose yourself to all of it. I'm pleased, Mr. Chair, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so pleased to be here to pay homage to all the researchers worldwide in medical research. This dates back to the days of Louis Pasteur and Joseph Lister. And each one of these current researchers is standing on the shoulders of the person researching before them. So throughout time, we have all, in this age, the benefit of all those researchers worldwide. And the thing that motivates is that these researchers have saved our lives. Your life, my life, 3 times. Because had we lived in an earlier age, we'd die. But we go along to the doctor. Sometimes you've got to argue with the doctors because they're not really up with all the latest trends. For instance, in a recent one, I spoke to my cancer man, the oncologist, about 20 years ago about monoclonal antibodies. These are the part of the cancer treatment today at which you target just the cells. And I was talking about that 20 years ago. He said, where did you learn that? I said, when you get cancer, as I did, you read everything you can put your hands on. And when I went through 11 months of chemotherapy, they were the early days. That was the chemotherapy that used to kill you. The treatment was worse than the complaint. I know, I went through it. Norma and I went in there after 3 months and said, I can't take this anymore. And they said, we've got some good news for you. We're going to change your system. I said, what about the other 3 months? Oh, that's a bonus, they said. Some bonus. Well, the treatment really killed me. And I made other offsets. They're not necessarily medical terms, changing the lifestyle, watching what you ate, and so we were able to get over it. But they still only gave me a 50-50 chance of surviving. But then it was worse for the next 3 years because in the early stages, they had to dig inside me to get a lymph node so they could tell what type of cancer it was. It was a lymphatic cancer. But they had to know exactly what it is, and I asked them why. If you think you know what it is now, why can't we start? Because what we would give you would probably kill you. That's good news. They don't say that today. Our nephew just went through a very big operation for cancer, and he didn't know, virtually didn't even feel it. Monoclonal antibodies. Now this is research work, and these are the people I play homage to. This is why Norma and I are glad it happened to be able to put something back. I was a guinea pig myself years ago when I had migraine. I went out to Prince Henry Hospital and saw James Lance. He became the head of the neurology in Australia. But Jim was pottering around in the early days, and I was one of the guinea pigs. I had every one of his tablets. You know, I really rattled until I found one that worked for me. And I stayed on that for 30 years. And it never worried me. I could tell when it was coming on, even 8 hours beforehand, and I'd slip the tablet in and I'd go to work. Prior to that, it was just memory. There are some terrible complaints, and the only saviours you have are medical research work. So why wouldn't you want this? Why wouldn't you? Well, that's the way it goes. But here's another case. When I finished the chemotherapy, I then had 13 years of agony with adhesions. And nobody knows anything about adhesion in those days. I had 2 more operations and only made it worse. And then one day, the next door neighbour said, look, my brother works at Aberconcourt, and one of the surgeons had just come back and he's experimenting with keyhole surgery. I couldn't get to him quick enough. So he was the most reluctant surgeon you can imagine. He tried to talk me out of it. He sent me away and said, come back and later on. I said, how many have you done? He said, 2. I said, but they're both successful, yes, he said. He said, but I don't like doing it because, you know, one slip and you've got peritonitis and all sorts of other things. I said, well, you better get a bit more practice and then I'll come back and see you. You're up with it for 13 years. Another 12 months, I'm looking at it. So I used to go into hospital 3 and 4 times a year. And you get one of these wonderful things, you stick a thing up your nose, down into your stomach, and a label on the back of the bed saying, nil by mouth, and a thing in your arm. And there you lay for 5 days. If you go 6 days, you go to the operating theatre and open you up again. Can you imagine? You don't hear much about it. But here's a victim. Anyway, after 12 months, I rang him again. I said, how many have you done? He said, 12. I said, I don't want to be 11, he said. I said, I'm the next one. I'm the next one. But I want to be number 3. And I've been right ever since. And that was 28 years, 27 years ago. So, can you doubt that I wouldn't want to help people that are trying to help all of us? That's what it's all about. I survived these things because of the researchers. They were the ones that saved me because they gave the surgeons and the oncologists the knowledge to perform their duties. Now, if you've got a good wife as well, it's a hell of a difference.